Hello, Henry from Belgium here. Today, I'm looking at LEGO set 6539, Victory Cup Racers, released in 1993 within town, more specifically in the racing sub-theme. I found this copy at a flea market, and the beautiful box immediately caught my attention. The set was not 100% complete when I found it, but I later added the few missing small parts and replaced some discolored pieces. Now I have it complete, with all the parts, stickers, manual, inner box, and outer box. The set has around 450 parts and comes with 4 minifigures, so this is a nice medium-sized town set from the early 90s. On the box, you can immediately see that this is not just a simple racing car set, but a complete small racing event. The large truck with trailer is the centerpiece, but you also get the small racers, the Octan stand, the Podium, the flags, and the minifigures placed around the scene. It may look a little busy, but that is exactly why the set feels much richer than just a few separate racing cars. What I also like is that the artwork does not only show speed, but everything around the race: transport, preparation, maintenance, and the prize ceremony. The front of the box mainly sells the big spectacle, but the back really shows how many different play moments are included in this set. On the inner flap, the focus is even more on the play features. You can see how the racing cars are loaded, how the forklift can be used, how the pit stop or service area works, and how the podium scene fits in. That is what I like about this presentation. The set is not only shown as a nice finished model, but especially as something you can immediately play with. Among the black parts, the large black 6x8 slope immediately stands out to me. It is a part I personally like to use because it works very well for broad, clean finishing in different kinds of builds. Still, I think the black forklift with the light grey wide forks is one of the most important parts in this set. It is not just one simple piece, but an assembled element made from 3 parts. Complete examples in good condition are not cheap today. Asking prices often start at around €10. It also appears as a complete assembly in only a limited number of sets, so if you want to complete 6539, this is definitely a part to watch out for. I also see some large, good-looking wheels, and especially a lot of familiar basic parts. That is not only true for the black parts, but also for the other colors, and that makes this set fairly accessible. With an online manual and a good supply of classic parts, you can rebuild a large part of this set quite easily. But with sets like this, the real challenge for me is not only completeness, it is also about having the parts in a nice, consistent condition, so the finished model can really work as a display piece. This is especially true for a racing set with a lot of black, white, red, and bright accents. If parts are yellowed, scratched, or replaced with pieces in a slightly different shade, you notice it immediately. What is really important here, and not always easy to find in good condition, are the stickered bricks. There are quite a few of them, and they define a large part of the look of the set. If those stickers are missing, badly placed or heavily damaged, the whole model immediately loses a lot of its original racing and Octan identity. The stickers on the 2x4 bricks are a personal highlight for me. They will later be used to build the podium, and I think they look fantastic. I have not seen this type of sticker very often, and they immediately give that part of the set a much more official racing event feeling. There are also the slopes with the number stickers. Since the set includes 4 racing cars, you get 8 of these stickered slopes in total. That is exactly the kind of detail that can easily be lost over time, especially when stickers start to peel off or parts get replaced. The 8x32 baseplate is also an important part. It is a coincidence that this same format also appeared in the set from a previous review, but it is actually not a very common baseplate size. You only find it in a limited number of colors and sets, and in green, it appears in only 4 different sets. Good examples can easily cost around €5 or more, so it is definitely a part worth keeping in nice condition. The set comes with 4 minifigures, and they each have a clear role within the racing event. You get 1 racer, 1 person for the forklift, 1 figure for the truck, and 1 Octan technician or service worker. That works well, because the set is not only about the race itself, it is also about transport, loading, preparation, and maintenance. The racer is shown here with a cap, but later he also gets a separate helmet with a visor. And not only him, the other 3 figures also get a helmet, which means you can easily turn all 4 minifigures into racers if you want to play it that way. The torsos are all different and quite colorful. According to Bricklink, 3 of the figures are unique to this set, mainly because of the specific combination of headgear, torso, and leg color. Still, most of them do not feel completely unfamiliar, because parts and styles like these appear more often around this period. What was really new in 1993, though, is the truck driver figure, with the vest and patch pockets over a white shirt. Personally, I think that is a fun and creative print, especially because of the slightly rounder, looser drawing style. And although I am usually not the biggest fan of busier face prints, I think his face works quite well. The manual has 12 pages and comes in a large, practical format. It is clearly structured, which fits this set very well, because you are really building several separate parts of the racing event. What I especially like here is that the manual works in clear sections. You are not building one large model from start to finish, but one separate element at a time. First the accessories, then the racing cars, the truck, the trailer, the forklift, and finally the small building with the podium and service area. The build is not really difficult, but it does not need to be. The variety between all these separate racing elements is exactly the charm. The first building steps start very small, with a few loose accessories that will later be used around the racing scene. First, I build a small Octan barrel, or fuel container in the recognizable red, green, and white colors. Then I put together a small hand truck using this red frame. It was still a fairly new part in the early 90s, and it is very functional in this set. You can place the small skateboard or trolley wheels into the frame so it actually rolls. It is not just a suggested piece of equipment. It is something the minifigures can really use to move parts, tools, or the small Octan container around the racing area. I also build a small service cart, and it only consists of a few parts. Still, it feels nicely upgraded compared to some earlier carts. The light gray clip plates give you space to attach a wrench and a hammer, while the light gray plate with the sidebar works as a proper push handle. This one can also really roll, thanks to the small trolley wheels. It is a small build, but these details make the pit stop and service area much more convincing. The 4 small racing cars are a really fun part of the build. They all follow roughly the same logic. First the base, then the color accents, then the engine or rear detail, followed by the bodywork, and finally the wheels and race number. What I like here is that the cars clearly belong together, but still each get their own color and identity. The white, red, yellow, and blue racers use the same simple foundation, but through the color choices, small details, and numbered stickers, they feel like 4 separate competitors in the same race. The build is very simple, but that fits perfectly. These are small karts or lightweight racers, not large Formula 1 cars. You can rebuild these little cars quite easily, so the real value is mainly in the stickered slopes with the race numbers. The 4 racing cars each get their own small transport module. That is a smart step, because the cars will not simply sit loose on the trailer. Each racing car gets its own holder, which gives the transport section much more structure. The base is built with red corner plates. I think that is a good choice, because it is stronger and more practical than building the same shape from several loose 1x2 plates. The modules are also designed with function in mind. There is space underneath, so the forklift can slide in and actually lift and move the racing cars. The black side walls are made with 1x4x3 panels with solid studs. Those are interesting parts as well, because in black they only appear in a limited number of sets. The solid studs also make them period correct for the early 90s. These are simple modules, but they are more carefully designed than they may seem at first. I first build the truck itself. The full length of the vehicle will only really come through later, once the trailer is attached, but this is where the foundation is laid. It is built mainly with red plates and wheel holders, and at the back there is a red Technic plate with holes, so the trailer can be connected later. The rest of the build is fairly classic, with familiar bricks, plates, doors, and a steering wheel. What I like about this model is the extra section behind the driver, with small side windows. That makes the cabin feel a little richer than a very basic town truck. The black curved slopes on top also help, because they give that rear section a nicer shape than if everything had been built completely straight and flat. Behind the cabin, the double exhaust pipes are added, with extra pipe details underneath as well. That gives the truck a more robust, almost American look. At the very front, there is also a separate grille. It is white, while you might expect grey, but it works quite well with the other white details, such as the white levers and taps used as extra decoration. With the large, wide wheels underneath, the model feels solid and convincing. For me, this is a successful truck, classic in construction, but with enough shaping and extra details to lift it above a very basic small town lorry. For the trailer, I start with a long base of black plates, with red tiles and plates on top. At fixed distances, white grille tiles are added as well. Those are not just decorative. They are placed exactly where they need to be, so the transport modules can hook on easily and stay in position. That immediately gives the trailer a clear function within the set. The underside of the trailer also gets extra reinforcement, and this is where I noticed that the design is more thoughtful than it first appears. The wheel holders are not simply attached directly to the plate. A black modified 2x2 tile with pin is placed in between, and that pin connects into a Technic plate with holes. This creates a simple kind of suspension system. The wheels are not completely rigid under the trailer. They have a little bit of movement. That feels surprisingly realistic and adds extra play value. The same kind of thoughtful design also shows up in the fold-out support leg. With a hinge system and a small trolley wheel, the trailer can stand on its own when it is not attached to the truck. That feels realistic and gives the trailer a proper function even when it is parked separately. The coupling system is nicely done too. The trailer uses a black modified plate with a tow ball socket, with a light grey Technic axle with tow ball inside it as the coupling piece. That allows the trailer to click onto the truck while still moving smoothly when driving and turning. As extra details, a broom and a shovel are attached to the side. That gives the trailer not only a transport function, but also some maintenance equipment. The truck and trailer look quite impressive as a complete vehicle. Fully assembled, it measures around 28 centimeters in length, which is quite large for a town vehicle from this period. With the wide wheels, the double exhaust pipes, and the long trailer, it really feels like the central transport model of the set. The trailer has room for 3 transport modules, while there are 4 in total. I do not really see that as a disadvantage. It actually gives you extra play options. One racing car can be on the track, in the pit area, on the forklift, or waiting near the podium. That makes the whole race scene feel less static and gives you more variety in how you set it up. With the forklift, you can immediately see that this is a sturdy and slightly wider vehicle. That is necessary because it does not just have to lift a small crate, it has to move complete transport modules with racing cars inside. The large fork feels believable, and what I also like is that the fork can tilt slightly backwards thanks to the hinge system. When a module is placed on it, that helps keep everything in position and reduces the chance of the load sliding off. It is a small detail, but it makes the play function much more convincing. The rear section is nicely shaped as well. The yellow 3.5x4 wedge without stud notches gives the vehicle a more modern and less blocky look. In yellow, that part appears in only 4 sets, so it is also an interesting piece for collectors. The forklift also gets some strong details. The small ladder, the lever, the black grille tile at the front, and especially the white bar with stop ring and trans yellow cone as a warning light. That last detail is a really nice addition, because it feels very realistic for a work vehicle like this. The uniform yellow color scheme works well too, including the yellow wheel centers. On the truck, those are white, but here they are nicely matched to the vehicle itself. The forklift also has a small building choice that makes the model feel more realistic. Not suspension this time, but an extra 2x2 plate that makes the forklift lean slightly forward. That puts the fork in a better position and makes it a little easier to pick up the transport modules. The play function itself works really well. You can drive around, pick up a module, move it, unload it, and place it back on the trailer. That makes the forklift much more than just an extra small vehicle. It becomes an active part of the whole racing and transport setup. The last thing I build is the small structure with the podium and service area. The base is the green 8x32 base plate, and it is divided into 3 clear zones. On the left, I build the podium, with the white supports, the Octan brick, and the red and green flags behind it. This will make it clear where the winners can be celebrated later. In the middle, there is a low wall with several accessories. The finish flag gets its place, and there is also a signal board where you can use the numbered tiles to show the laps. I think that numbered signal board is a very nice detail, because it is not just decoration. It actually gives the race a bit of structure. And of course, you can also hang the 4 helmets here. On the right, I build the covered section. You can see it as a place for a commentator, spectators, or maybe even a small work area. It is not a large building, but it makes the racing environment feel much more complete. Together with the podium and the central accessory wall, it makes the set about more than just driving. It also includes everything around the racing event. The decoration is quite basic, but very effective for playability and imagination. The loudspeaker, start or stop lights, fire extinguisher and iconic blue car jack give this section a clear race and service function without making the build look too crowded. The 4 helmets with visors are worth mentioning as well. 2 of them have nice prints, the red helmet with white stars and the blue helmet with red lines and white stars. Details like that give the figures more character than if all the helmets had simply been plain. Finally, there is also a trans-clear goblet for the winner. That fits the podium perfectly, although I do find it a bit strange that LEGO did not choose a yellow one that could work as a gold trophy. A real gold color did not exist yet, of course, but yellow might have worked a little better for a winner's cup. Fully built, this set shows very well how strong LEGO was in the early 90s at turning a simple idea into a complete play world. On paper, it sounds like a racing set with a truck and a few small cars, but in reality, it becomes a full little racing event. Not huge or spectacular, but very well thought out around transport, preparation, service, and the prize ceremony. That does not mean every part is equally strong. The racing cars themselves are very simple, and the small building is more functional than impressive. But that does not bother me too much, because the strength of the set is not in one single model. The strength is in how the whole scene comes together. Simple builds, clear functions, a logical layout, and that typical classic town feeling where every part has a reason to be there. Victory Cup Racers may not be the first town set everyone thinks of, but it has much more to offer than it might seem at first glance. That is what makes it a very nice addition to my collection, especially with the box, inner box, manual, and clean stickers all present. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see new videos about my collection every Sunday, subscribe to my channel. It is completely free. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.